Excuse me, the midpoint. It is just what it sounds like. It's the point that's in the middle of those 2 points given. Where is the point that's in the middle of those two? The midpoint. So how do we figure that out? Well, it starts off the same way as I showed you how to figure out the distance between those 2 points, where we basically make it into a triangle. We count from one space or from one point to the next, going straight across and going straight up and down. So how far straight across is it from -2, -3 to 4, 1? It's 6 spaces. You got to go from -2 all the way over to 4, which is 6 spaces. And how far up is it from -3 to +1? It's 4 spaces. You have to go up 4 spaces. Now, if we wanted to figure out the distance between those 2 points, we would square those numbers, add them together, and take the square root. But that's not what we want to find out today. We want to find out where is the exact middle of those 2 points. So middle sometimes is associated with half. The middle is halfway to some point. So instead of going over 6 and going up 4, we're going to do half that much. We're going to go over 3 and up 2. So we're going to go over 3 spaces and up 2, and that's going to be our midpoint. So what is over 3 and up 2 from -2, -3? Well, over 3 spaces from -2, 1, 2, 3 gets you to +1. And up 2 spaces from -3, 1, 2 spaces gets you to -1. So that's the midpoint, 1, -1. That's the point that's exactly in the middle, exactly in between those 2 points. All right, the formula that you'll see in the book is just starts off kind of the same as yesterday. They'll say it's y2 minus y1. All right, y2 minus y1. Remember, we've got 2 points, each with an xy coordinate. So we'll call this our second point. We'll say this is x2, x2, y2, and this will be x1, y1. So if we're going to subtract our y's, it would be 1, that's our y2, minus a -3. Minus a -3 means to add, so that would be 4. And then we're going to split that number in half. So 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2, and that's that number right there. That's how we got 2. We saw how many spaces was it in between 1 and -3. It was 4 spaces, and we split that in half. That's 2. All right, and then we do the same thing for the x. You have x2 minus x1, and that gives you 4 minus a -2, which is 4 plus 2, which is 6. So 4 minus a -2 is the same thing as 4 plus 2. You divide that by 2, and you get 3. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. All right, and that's where that number comes from. So this is the base, this is the formula, but it's nothing different than what I was explaining by counting. Now you just have a formula to find it. So you have your 3 and your 2, and then you add those numbers to your first point, your x1 and your y1. So it's x1 plus 3, and it's y1 plus 2. And x1 was -2, so it's -2 plus 3. And y1 was -3, so it's -3 plus 2. And that's how you get 1 and -1. So it's 1, -1. All right, and that's essentially what the formula that your warm-up is to read whatever page it is, and it shows you the algebraic formula and how to find the midpoint, but that's where it comes from. This is the basis, the origin of the algebraic formula to find the midpoint, to find the point that's exactly in between 2 given points. Not overly difficult, but the algebra can look intimidating at first, but when you think about it like this and you break it down, it's not super complicated.